Hey guys, welcome to, another great day of let's talk about how to bring in investors, how to market them, how to find them. And actually today we're taking a very unique twist, saying to some extent away from those classic digital marketing funnels, because there are so many different ways, greater ways to really entice and engage with people. And of course, today we've got literally a Hollywood legend who is using those same skill sets that he learned in LA, where he still is and thankfully safe from the fires, helping people raise capital and crowdfunding. Uh, please allow me to introduce Gene Massey. Thank you so much for being here today.
I'm glad to be here. People often ask me why I put my hand right here, but when you're doing a Zoom, you can actually put your hand right here. It's kind of a mini facelift, and you can kind of get rid of some of the wrinkles, especially if you go like this.
That's brilliant.
Yes, I'm an old guy. I've been in Los Angeles for many years, and I'm very old.
Well, and right now you look like you're in a hotel. Where are you at?
I'm at the Money Show in Vegas with a client who's doing a presentation here, and we filmed it. And he's, doing quite well. And I'm in the hotel, and I'll be checking out shortly, going back to LA. But yes, I was a director for many years in Los Angeles. As a matter of fact, I'm still in the Directors Guild of America, where I directed many national commercials over the years. And I'm still in the Screen Actors Guild. So if any casting directors are out there, I'm available. All of us that ever joined SAG in our 20s, we still keep our card in the hopes that we'll be discovered someday.
So he's available for advertisements, specifically on the Super Bowl.
As a matter of fact, I did a voiceover for a recent client. You'll hear my voice in one of the commercials we showed today, and actually did the voiceover and got some compliments on it. So, I guess my training helped a little bit anyway.
Well, I absolutely love it. So I know we're going to take this conversation in quite a few different directions. You brought up the Money Show. You're out there filming. One of your clients is giving a presentation, doing kind of the seminar circuit and presenting to groups. It's not only a great way to promote the awareness, getting your message known and your opportunity known, but it also creates that additional option and opportunity that you're talking about of filming, repurposing for the marketing side as well.
Yes, that's what I told him yesterday. A lot of times when you present at one of these shows, people are busy. You'll have 20 people watching if it's a small one. In this case, he had only about 20 people watching, and I said, "Don't worry, this is going to have a long tail." Because the video that we make, not only that, but then I cut in the slides that he showed, and I can structure it with titles and graphics and things and make his presentation into really something and call it a live audience, because it was. And so you can make a presentation like that. Why anyone would do a presentation and not hire a cameraman for a few $100s to film it, I have no idea. As a matter of fact, I was invited to the very first crowdfunding conference in 2012, where Patrick McHenry was invited to meet New York brokers. And I got invited because I had been known as the guy that did fan financing starting in 98. I ran around telling everyone, 1998, all the funding is going to be on the internet. And I'm going to finance movies with fan financing. I'm going to sell shares to movie fans. As a matter of fact, I even met Ted Sarandos because he's one of the big shots at Netflix now. And at the time, they had 250,000 people that were renting videos from them. So I went to him and I said, "I'm going to finance movies for you." My CFO at the time knew him. knew Ted Sarandos.
Mhm.
So we got a meeting. I went in and I presented it to him. I said, we're going to sell a single share to your people and give them a free copy of a movie. You can finance the movie by pre-selling the videos to your fans, the people that are on Netflix. And he listened very politely. And said, okay. He said, why would we ever want to finance a movie? People are beating down our door to give us their movies. They give us their movies, begging us to take them, to put them in our DVD rental inventory. We're never
And
going to finance any movies. Now they're $6 billion in debt. And I thought about writing him an email and said, remember our meeting? I told you I could have saved you $6 billion if you'd only done financing with your audience.
Well,
But
you
anyway, I've
brought
been
up
doing this a long time.
2012, and
Been at it a long time.
that's the first conference. And if anybody didn't know, crowdfunding didn't exist for investments before 2012.
You could not do it. I spent $1 million of the money I made as a big commercial director. I spent $100,000. My mother left me when she died. My Aunt Claire left me $100,000. I sold my 1961 Porsche Roadster made in Belgium. I sold my airplane. I sold my houseboat. The pretty blonde girl I was in love with, the money ran out, and so did she. And so I paid dearly trying to do I called it fan financing in 2006 when Kickstarter came out. They called it crowdfunding. I said, okay, crowdfunding, whatever. And I ran around trying to do crowdfunding. You couldn't do it. You couldn't post an offering for an investment online. And so in 2012, people had heard, by then everybody in the world had heard of me. I beat on everybody's door, all the venture capitalists, all the brokers, everybody trying to finance this tool for financing movies. So in 2012, they invited me to meet Patrick McHenry, and that I was the guy that had been doing this for so long. And I brought a video camera. That's how I said, we're going to film this. If I'm going to meet Patrick McHenry, so I brought a big camera crew and everything and filmed it.
Oh,
and Dara Albright consequently invited me to all the rest of her ever conferences that she ever did, because I came in and videoed it. So she said, we're sure going to invite Gene because he brings the video, So,
and for everybody to really understand, I mean, while Gene, and we're going to actually see some of his videos talk about how to, really leverage it as much as possible. One thing that I always like to emphasize is the repurposing. You do a presentation and you're filming it. It becomes a video. You're using the transcript to create blogs. You're promoting it through social media, through the shorts, YouTube with the full videos. So what we're talking about here today, it's really one of the basis of how do you hit all the platforms, because at the end of the day, the average investor gets touched. Well, any customer gets touched on average about 6 times before they buy. So being omnipresent and continuous with your marketing and your touches is so unbelievably important. And that's, not the only reason, but part of the reason why this is so valuable to learn a thing or two from this guy right here, Gene Massey.
Well, a wise man once said, as soon as you think your downfall is inevitable. So if you the smartest guy in the world, you're in a lot of, and I did, that was my trouble. I thought I had such a good idea. I called it cinemashares.com, right? It's not even a website anymore. But I thought I was so smart. I'm going to change the whole movie industry. Everyone's going to finance their movies this way. Not only that, but I'll have the power to control which movies are made. This is what I thought, right?
Oh, yeah.
In the meantime, I lost everything to try to do this. And so by 2012, I realized, what might not be just movies. This could be financing for anything. And now I consult with clients then all the different fields. I don't try to do. I just had a conference the other night with a group of people that want to do movies. So I said, okay, we'll talk to you. But
At least you got the experience there.
yeah, the thing now is anything can be financed this way. That's what, if anyone is watching, that is the key here. This is you don't go door to door with vacuum cleaners anymore. They're sold online, and investments are sold online.
Comically, I cut my teeth doing these Reg D deals early 2000s, way before crowdfunding even existed. And I learned how to do it banging on the phone, basically a boiler room. You had this whole process of how to create this pre-existing relationship through the country clubs, networking, and selling insurance or other investments to create the relationship, then turn right around and try to sell the investors some Reg D deals. And then crowdfunding became a reality. And to be honest, that's about the only way that it really happens nowadays. Those boiler room days of just banging on phones, they don't really exist. So now it's all about how to work with marketing agencies and the people that know how to drive traffic to your opportunities.
That's the key. You put up an offering. It's like just like any product. You put up a product on your website, and unless you do some marketing, nobody's going to know about it.
Well, and let's kind of get into it. I mean, we're using marketing that's so unbelievably broad. You're a ex-Hollywood director. That is a key part of it all. But for your clients, really, how are you leveraging or diving in, and like, are you helping your people get started with driving traffic?
The key is getting started, and most people don't realize that you have to have something to start with. You have an idea. People call me up and I've got a script for a movie. No. People must know ahead of time that any investor wants to know, how do I get my money back? And when do I get my money back? And so what they want to invest in something that shows some promise. They want to see you be successful because they want a piece of it. So if you have nothing, I have had pre-revenue clients, very difficult. They've never sold anything. Okay. They have this thing they want to make and everything, and so it's very difficult. So you really need to have a business that you can show to people, because you're going to need money to get started. I tell people, what's it cost to get started? I would say $50,000. We're $12,000 a month, and you're going to need to hire us for a couple of months. Now, why would anybody want to give us $12,000 a month? Because that includes all the video production. That includes the creation of all the emails. We've got a 65,000 email list. We've got, ways to do your social media. You can buy viewers for your social media now, stuff like that. So there's a value there, because you'll pay $12,000 for a movie, and with us, you'll get the entire package. We even help them with some of their corporate secretarial stuff, keeping records of their minutes and things like that for them. So it's a one-stop shop. Whereas if you go to a big marketing agent, and we only take 2 clients a month, we don't take more than that. We can't. We've got a small team. So you go to a big agency, they'll have 40 clients, and you get 30 minutes a week to look at the analytics. And if you want
with the analytics, let me ask you this. I know a lot of people are encouraged to do pay-per-click, whether it's boosting posts on social media, the Google pay-per-click. Is that something that you work with on your clients, or something that you actually recommend against?
Everything is different.
Okay.
Pay-per-click would be one option. It could be very expensive. It depends on what you have and what the deal is. The best paying thing that we've seen is Facebook and Instagram ads, and I think most marketing
Mhm.
companies will agree with that. LinkedIn is also somewhat, but that turns out sometimes more expensive. Again, it depends on exactly what it is. But Facebook and Instagram ads seem to have the best return on ad spend, called
Is
ROAS.
there a type of deal that you say this works really well with more that type of strategy, the pay-per-click strategy versus more the organic, let's build a community and awareness?
Well, first of all, you build the community and the awareness anyway. You go
Of
out with
course.
email is the cheapest thing to do. And it also depends on, with our email list, they're prepared to get marketing materials for investments. And we've got 65,000, a list of people that accept our investment opportunities. But if you're just marketing, and I tried to use that for my wife's jewelry and it didn't work. I got a lot of unsubscribes. We don't want any jewelry. And the email service provider got very upset. They said, "You
Mhm.
got a lot of unsubscribes. We're going to have to limit your sending on this particular offering." And so,
Let
you
me
have to
ask
be
you
very
this.
careful on that.
I've been told that if your unsubscribes end up being like 2% or greater, you do start to get kind of blackballed by the email
You
providers.
will, especially if you get spams. Spams are like having the disease. You got spams? How could someone that opted in on your website think you're spam? So if you've got a list that's maybe old or something, so what we
Mhm,
do is we go clean them. There's zero bounce,
mhm.
million verifier, which is cheaper, and there are all sorts of other email verification services because emails get old. I've got some emails, that are 10 years old and they're not any good anymore. So you have to go get them cleaned every so often before you run the emails again. So it's a very sophisticated, highly restricted method. And so you can't just go buy a list and send out a bunch of emails. No.
I think that statement is so important for people to understand. It sounds so easy. Oh, I'm going to go buy a email list of high net worth investors. You can go buy those lists at plenty of data vendors, but
Yeah.
you're
Won't work.
blindly sending out. You
Won't
don't
work.
have the
First of all, those lists are
opt-in.
usually not very good. They're not really real. You buy an accredited investor list, it's not really a bunch of accredited people. It's a bunch of people they acquired and called it that. So you have to be very careful about buying a list. There is one thing that we've been doing that's maybe tricky. We have a way, we go to a conference and we get everybody on the conference and we
Mhm.
send it off to a guy who gives us all their emails. And we send them an email. I was at this conference with you and would love to tell you about this offering. And you can see their names. This private equity guy, family office guy. And you go to a conference and you get a list and then you pay someone to turn that list into emails. And that's probably better than buying a list somewhere. It's probably not 100% legal because they haven't really opted in, but you were at the conference with them and you can say that and you can send them an email. So that's probably
Are
one way.
you allowed to send one email asking people to opt in, or if they have an opt in, it's just a blanket email no?
You're supposed to have them log in to your site and give you permission before you send them anything. Now, if you met a
Okay.
guy at a business meeting and he gave you his card and you're just sending him an email, I think you're fine. Maybe not in Europe with that GDPR or whatever they call it. In Europe, they're very, very restricted. But I think in the US, if you meet somebody and you want to send them an email or you collected a bunch of cards at a conference, that's one way to be able to get some people. But if you don't have that, then go with somebody that has a list that's legitimate and that markets your
Makes
offering for
sense.
you. So that's one thing that I would recommend. And then it's a question of what are you sending? I think
Mhm.
you've got an email there of a humorous email that we wrote, and it was
Yeah,
actually
let
an
me
email for
pull this.
tooting our own horn. because we've won a lot of awards. And this particular email was, we made it funny, me holding some of my awards. And I made a joke, said my wife said I should stop bringing all these things to client meetings, not necessary. And so you make something funny out of it. And that's the key to making an email. If it's funny, you're not likely to get spammed. You're not likely to get unsubscribed because it was entertaining. So everything that we do, videos, emails, whatever, we try to make it entertaining. We call the videos advertainment because it's a way to to combine the message with something enjoyable, bury the message in a piece of entertainment. And so that's what we really try to go for. Now, if it's a serious thing like a funeral home or something, no, that won't work. But
yes, no, let's not make a joke about
but it's not good for everything.
And so if anybody is interested in actually reading this, diving in, I did throw the link in chat, and I will continue to throw the links in chat as we talk about different subjects and videos.
But in this particular case, rather than just say, hey, we won our 5th Telly Award, I turned it into something humorous. My wife says to stop taking all of these to client meetings. See, and that way it turns it into a joke, but the message is there that this was our 5th Telly Award. And so that's what you can do to make it palatable to people. If you're selling a lawnmower, a new type of electric lawnmower or something, you can make something entertaining about it. And there's another talking about this advertainment again.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to show that one with Casablanca.
Yeah, now, absolutely. Let me pull this up.
This particular spot was made before you started. Let me tell you about it before you started.
You got it.
This was a commercial designed to run in movie theaters. And it was for the Long Beach Press Telegram classified section.
Okay.
And now in movie theaters, people they don't want to see a commercial. So there was a big upset at one point when they started running commercials in front of movies. So what do you mean? I've just paid money. I don't want to watch a commercial like I do on television. So they came to us and they said, what can we do? So we came up with this idea of using Humphrey Bogart advertising a classified section of the paper. So now you can run it.
Sounds good.
You got no audio on it. You had audio earlier.
Well, I may not be able to play audio if it's not coming through.
Well, you played it earlier for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, go back and, sometimes when you're sharing in Zoom, you have to also share audio. So maybe if you go back to that share button.
See if I need to share it a different way, because I did share it a different way at that point.
Earlier I saw the audio for it.
All right. Well, let me know if you hear this.
It's 3 a.m. in Casablanca.
Yeah.
What time is Long Beach? Of all the gin joints in all the towns all over the world, she has to come to mine.
Oh, Mr. Rick, you know why she's coming to see you. It's because of this classified ad you took out in the Independent Press Telegram.
Sure, Sam, but she could have bought a car, or looked for a dog, or gone to a garage sale, but no. Of all the classified ads in all the Independent Press Telegrams, she has to read mine.
Oh, Mr. Rick, let's go home.
No, Sam. I'm waiting for a lady. I thought I told you never to play that.
I've come to.
You don't have to say it, sweetheart. I can see it in your eyes.
I must tell you, I'm going to buy your piano.
Sam, You can say it for her, you can say it for me. Say it again, Sam.
Independent press telegram. Classified ads.
I love it.
So by coming up with something like that, what movie theater person would object? You know, it looks kind of funny. And you bury the advertising message in a piece of entertainment. And it certainly told you all the things you needed to know about the classified section, right? And so
Yep.
now I don't hear your audio now, all of a sudden.
Because if it's not one thing, it's another. If you don't mind, let me ask you a few kind of strategy questions about that. So it was obviously an advertisement. We've got the forum with the pre-movie viewing. It's about a minute and a half. Now, for investments, for crowdfunding, which is really what we're focused on, is there a length that you would recommend? Hey, this is really what you should be targeting.
A minute.
Okay.
I would say a minute. And if you'll show one of the stock footage commercials, the interesting thing about this stock footage commercial for a publicly traded company that wanted to get their message out, they needed some videos to put on social media. And so just wait 1 second before you play it. They didn't have anything. They were a staffing company that does teams. They hire teams for all kinds of staffing. But they didn't have any footage. They didn't have it. They didn't even have a logo. You know, they had been doing staffing. And so we created everything for them. We fixed their logo. Go ahead.
Just so that everybody understands, we're talking about stock footage. It's not custom. It's available to
it's in a lot. Yeah, you can go to we use istock.com, the letter I, S-T-O-C-K, istock.com. You can go in there and you can type in anything you can think of. Eskimos, battleships, whatever you want, they have footage on, because they've collected over the years all the footage you could ever imagine in a million years. I'm working with a client right now, and they wanted oil derricks, and we've got every kind of oil derrick you ever wanted in a million years, and this stock footage thing. So in this particular case, they didn't have any people that they could show that they've hired. You know, we could have shown somebody that said, yes, we use them, they were very good. But we've made we made 4 commercials for them, all with stock footage, all for $200 worth of stock footage. You get 20 shots for $200. No, excuse me, get 10 shots, $20 a piece for $200 of high quality 4K footage. That's the production values that you would never be able to go out and shoot unless you had a ton of money. So here's play this 60-second spot, and you'll see what they did with medical teams.
Before we get there, Sean, it's always a pleasure to see you. Great to hear from you. Lori, thank you as well. If y'all do have any questions, throw it in chat. Happy to answer anything and everything right now. And frankly, throw it in chat down the road. If you happen to watch this afterwards, we'll come back and answer those as well. And with that, I mean, we do, just so that you understand, Gene, and of course, everybody else, at Crowdfunding Lawyers, where we do help organize, get you launched with investment opportunities, a lot of what we do is real estate. And this is where stock footage is great. But the reality is it's not all that expensive to hire somebody, a professional videographer that can run drones over the property, around the property. So we're talking about stock footage, but there's so much that you can do with it fairly rapidly. So I just wanted to note that, just because of how many people watch it and are involved with real estate. And I know we're just about to see something else. So with your okay, I'll play it.
Yeah.
The mission of medical teams is to save lives. Each team member has this goal in mind: to heal. These teams all have one thing in common: they care. They use technology in marvelous new ways to serve. At Futurists, we are a staffing company that builds great teams, and we search the world to find them. We grow by acquiring more staffing and technology companies, like Insigma and Health HR, our new medical staffing companies. And we've grown 300% in the last year. Futurists will continue to grow. We are the future of human capital management. You are welcome to invest in us and share in our success.
And that campaign of 4 spots won the Telly Award last year. And so they didn't have anything. And we created that out of thin air, for them. And made it into an investment opportunity. And yet you're moved by the footage of doctors helping and things like that. They're a staffing company.
And again, stock footage that you can go out and buy. You just need a great director and editor that can see the vision and be able to create it. We do have a question for you. What are your thoughts on AI videos and leveraging AI editing platforms?
That's a very topical question. And I had an AI thing that I was going to show that we used AI, where we made a client that was old look young. he brought a young picture of himself, and I said, you know what? And I took that young picture, they can make it lip sync and everything, and he recorded a voice. This is how much you can use it. He recorded a voice. He just gave me a sample of his voice, and then I wrote some copy. And AI put that copy into his younger picture. So to answer your question, absolutely. You can do all sorts of things like that with AI now. And we've done it. As a matter of fact, I learned all about it because he was an AI company. And so I learned all about AI and got all these different things gathered. I learned a lot about every different company. Right now I'm learning about the oil and gas business, and so you learn whatever it is, you learn about it, and then you try to apply it. I'm sort of like a musician. You give me the music and I'll play. And of course, a musician depends on the talent of the musician, how the music comes out. You can take that music and give it to several different people and you get several different results. So you give me your idea, and then we turn that idea into a concept that helps to describe the company and sell the investment opportunities. Usually, because people are investing in a company's investment opportunity, the company description is every bit as important as the financials of the thing, because they want the company has to grow. That's what's going to make the investment good. If it's the company making the investment, just the money is by itself it's not standalone. It has to be a company with the investment opportunity. So by selling,
and if you want to know how good AI really is, Gene's my age. He just wanted to look more experienced. So this is actually all AI, isn't it?
Yes. I'm actually 94, and I'm talking through an IA program today because I didn't want to look 94. Nobody would ever hire me if I was 94.
we have another question. When you're creating or editing AI videos, is it like ChatGPT that you actually just give it a prompt, or are these platforms more unique to create the artistry of
I haven't, you know, I'm so blown away by AI. The other day, I had a company's logo that I captured off of their website, and I put it into Chat GPT, and I said, please turn this into a transparency so that I could use it in editing. And it did. You know, in the past, you had to send that off to a graphic designer. They would get, then later in the day or the next day even, you would get the transparency back, you know, as an SVG file or something, you know. It was a lot of work. Now it's 5 minutes and you get a transparency back that you can edit in. So, and I forgot the original question, but I wouldn't think that you could rely on it entirely. It's more like a tool that you would use in the process. But the process really requires thought. And I must say, I've seen some things with ChatGPT it would have taken me days to do myself.
So something for everybody, an exercise, and I hope everybody watching tries this. Now with ChatGPT right in there, it will create images. And so here's the exercise. Go tell ChatGPT to create an image based on your email or Facebook in name, and just see what it comes up with. Sometimes they're absolutely
the ones that I've done like that, Nate, have been kind of look like AI. You know, it doesn't look the same as if a person had massaged it and put this, but it still comes up with some amazing stuff. But
well,
the
you really
majority
nailed it with it is a tool. It is
Yes.
not the guide. You still need that professionalism, an expert that's been there, understands it, but also can implement the strategies to maximize the return and the impact.
It really needs you both. It needs a person someone needs to tell it the prompts. You know, what prompts does it need? And so you need a person and ChatGPT, I think. Maybe it can do it all its own, but somebody's got to tell it the prompts, and how you feed the prompts to it depends on what you get. So if you are very clever and you know exactly what you're looking for, and it'll deliver something that's definitely worthwhile to you. But I think you need a person to give it, if nothing else, to give it the prompts that you need.
Let me ask you something about what you brought up recently or just a few minutes ago. And it's about the awareness and community, and how that's kind of a precursor before you're out there and asking for an investment. Can you speak a little bit to the process and best practices of really creating that community and connection?
Well, you're going to need help with that, because you're going to need to go to a club, an organization, an influencer, someone that has a following of a group of people, if you don't have that yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Now, some companies already have that. They've got a long list of customers, and they go out. That's one of the best sources for funding is your customers, because they use your product. As a matter of fact,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of companies are acquired by their customers. So it's very important that you reach out to people that can identify. Every investor has a sweet spot. You know, if you go to, I had a real estate investor tell me once, this ain't one of them crypto things, is it? You know, and by the same token, someone that's into crypto, they love crypto investments. And so everyone
I see what you did with token.
So everybody has a sweet spot. Every investor has a sweet spot. And if you can somehow find a group of people that their sweet spot is what you have, that's the key. And so if you have a different weird investment for a pre-revenue product that nobody's ever heard of and they don't really know how that works and it's hard to explain, that's a tough one. And that's why you probably need a guy like us to help explain it. I've done that in times where it was a hard thing to explain. That's how you need to be able to crystallize your message, your opportunity into a few seconds, because that few seconds they have to gather enough interest to read the rest. So in all types of marketing, whether it's video, email, social media, Instagram ad, whatever it is, what have you got? Jennifer Aniston on the beach? Oh, okay. You know, so you have to have something that where people go, oh yeah, that's right, I love that. Oh, you got one of those? Okay. You know, or if you just start off with this is going to make you a lot of money, no, that won't do it.
You know, if I could ask something, and please clarify, and this is, I assume and believe that whether it's a video, a static ad, or a email copy, it's all kind of the artistry around how to engage and influence the viewers, the readers, your audience, to take that next step to buy. What do the funnels, or, okay, I'm interested in that next step. With the clients that you work with and your experience, what does that next step actually look like?
A webinar. And that reason for that is people want to know who is doing this deal. They want to see you. They want to feel you. They want to hear from you, because they're going to give you their money. Wait a second. You want me to give you my money? Take my daughter, but not my money. So, that's the key. This is what every person looking for investors should think about. That person over there is not you. That's another person over there that you're going to give your money to. And they want to know, is this going to be a good deal? Am I going to get my money back? And when am I going to get it back? And how do I know for sure I'm going to get it back? And what's my exit? I mean, all of these questions you can best answer in a webinar. Well, in order to get them to watch the webinar, how are you going to do that? You have to have them excited enough to go to the webinar for a close. And they're not going to write a check on a Zoom call. You're going to have that get to know them, and you're going to have more than one contact with a person for them to trust
Live
you.
or pre-recorded, or a mix of both?
Everything you can possibly do. I worked with a client recently, and they had someone at the company that followed up with phone calls. The people that logged in through the portal, they got their names and information, and he would call them up. I saw you looked on there, you started an investment, but you didn't finish it. I wonder if you had some questions. And he closed a lot of investments. Once they talk to a person or see a person, you can get an investment online, strictly online. There are people that do that, but it's usually for $100 or $500. You're going to, yeah, sure, that looks great. I'll put $100 in that. And a lot of times they're not viable exits. I have clients in the past, they didn't really have a plan for an exit. And I tell everybody now, people want to know how they're going to get their money back. I don't want to take on a client if that's not there. If there's not a good roadmap to some sort of exit, and people, they say, oh, we're either going to get acquired and go public. Oh, really? Tell me about that. You want to know more about how the people are going to get their money back.
And you just nailed two components of any type of well-designed deal, which is the management and the know, like, and trust factor, which you can only do with that direct communications or webinar communications, as well as that exit. The big question is, when am I going to get my money back? How am I going to get my money back? The third component that we'll talk about another day is that you don't call it safe, but what's the risk of the return? Does it make sense based on the structure? Does it make sense based on the economy, the property, the business idea? So those three things come together to actually entice and incentivize the investors to contribute, but they got to know about what it is first, which is exactly what Gene here is sharing with you, how to kind of hit people from all directions.
Let me give you an example, Nate. I have a client recently. They show their revenues. They're growing quarter over quarter. They have a plan to list on NASDAQ, and they filed for their NASDAQ ticker symbol.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, they haven't said when, but they filed for their NASDAQ ticker symbol, and they have quarter over quarter growth. And they're in a space where they're in a good business area. So you can look and say, yeah, they're going to go, and they bought their ticker symbol, and they're going through the process. So I feel pretty good about investing in this. If I see
I
that,
do have to jump out and mention a compliance issue with that, because it's come up a few times in the past.
I know you can't say we're pre-IPO.
You can't say pre-IPO. You go and get the NASDAQ ticker. It's only good for so long. But where the real big issue becomes is, are you really moving forward, or are you just using it as a sales or marketing strategy? A regulator can say, nope, that is incredibly misleading. But also, if you're implying that your exit is that going public, that has plenty of risk and no-nos with that alone as well. So always
well,
like
there are things
warnings.
and that's another thing that we do, because we work with great attorneys like you, is we don't send out an ad before we run it by an attorney. So that's very important. I cannot stress that enough, because you can get in so much trouble if you don't have good counsel like Nate to make sure that the ads that you're sending out are legal. Now, in the case with this client, we're talking to brokers and everything. And I believe you can say, we've had conversations with brokers, and that we filed our ticker symbol, and you can state the facts, I believe, can't you?
It's kind of a B2B, business to business type introduction, rather than that B2C, that consumer being the investor. So there are different rules based on who you're communicating with. So again, it's just important to be compliant. Best practices with communications: keep your attorneys close. We're the guys to keep you out of trouble.
Yeah, I knew an IPO group, some guys that went on TV and said this IPO is going to really make a lot of money, and the SEC shut them down.
So funniest story that I have truly experienced. Back when I was living in Las Vegas, there was a big ad that was run in the newspaper, made off investments, but MADEOFF investments. Sure enough, it wasn't but a month later, there was another article about that ad from the Secretary of State.
Oh my God.
Bringing action against the company Madoff Investments. Turns out to be a huge joke nonetheless.
Well, you have
Long
any more
story
questions
short,
there?
do not run an Enron Investments ad. It's going to get you in trouble. So even though it's comical, and it is about having fun. Let me ask you this. This is one of the most important questions that can ever be asked. Response rates. Are you seeing areas and strategies that are really superior in impact to other strategies?
Well, it's all about how much dollar, how many dollars do I get when I spend a dollar? Return on ad spend. We worked with a client recently. They called us in to consult on a case where they got $4.2 million, but they spent $2 million to get it.
Ouch.
And that can happen. Now, you did get $4 million, but you had to spend $2 million to get it. This happens a lot. I talked to a client, this guy was not a client. I just talked to him at a party, and he said, yeah, we just barely got our money back. I said, really? He said, yeah, we got $1 million, but we spent almost $1 million to get it. And so
let me ask you about those types of companies. Were they actually revenue producing companies or more that business plan?
They were. The ones that I just spoke of were revenue producing.
Okay.
So
why?
But let me tell you, what we do is test. And that's what most marketing companies will do. That you'll go out and spend $5,000 and see what comes back. You don't spend $1 million and see what comes back. You spend $5,000. You change the ads, target different audiences with your material. Different audiences can respond to different ads. And that's another thing that you can massage when you're doing your campaign, is you create an ad that's going to respond to a particular group of people. And so you test. And if you don't do well, you don't go forward. Now, for example, if you're on WeFunder, you have to get $50,000 before they'll file your Form C for you. And most of the platforms, you have to get a certain amount of money before they think you're serious. They call it the friends and family testing the waters rounds, or the pledges, or testing, or whatever you want to call it. But most people will do that to see if you've got a viable offering. Even maybe you don't even belong on a platform. You need to go to a venture capitalist or your Uncle Charlie. So
Makes a lot of sense.
You really have to test before you spend the money, and that's what we do.
Let me ask you this, and in the marketing world, that's called A/B testing, where you're just trying the different strategies.
Right.
At least what I've learned a little bit about marketing over the years, it's all about the data. And are you seeing, or are there key metrics, whether we're talking about
define data? A lot of people don't know what that means.
Click-through rates for emails.
What you're talking about is analytics. Analytics is what you're talking about.
You nailed it. And without that, you can't make good decisions, it seems.
No, well, you look at analytics on a daily basis. Or if you're with a big agency, you look at it on a weekly basis after you've already spent a week. With us, we'll look at it on a daily basis. We'll look at it on every test ad that we run. So you'll know how you did. And so the analytics are very sophisticated now. You can tell how many views. It's all about click-through rate. If you run an Instagram ad, how many clicks, and how many clicks went through to your opportunity, and then how many conversions, how many people that click through and that actually invested. Those are called conversions. So that's what it's all about. That's, you measure all that to really determine the successes.
We have another question from Lori. I've been working on a script. With the script, it's had some contest recognitions, a Kairos finalist. Any opinion if scripts, and it sounds like the goal is to turn it into a TV show, is that type of product, script to TV, something that is crowdfundable, or have you seen that ever be successful?
I've seen it be successful, but only with people that have a track record. For example, if you go on Republic.com right now, and there's a Pressman, there's an offering by Pressman of Republic. He's got a couple of $1 million, but he's got a line of Oscars. He's got a line of people that have been in the business for years. He's got a record of award-winning major films that you saw. Oh yeah, I saw that one. And he's doing a development deal where he's looking for money to develop more projects. And so he got $2 million. If you've just got a script and you're not a known name and you don't have any other known names associated with you, you would have to answer the question, how am I going to get my money back? I'm going to give you some money. How do I get it back? If you can answer that question and convince me that I can get my money back from it, oh, you mean a studio might buy your script and we might get our money back? Well, then it needs to be a very high risk thing, you know? Mm-hmm. So the main question you want to ask is, how do I not lose my money and how do I get my money back? And explain that process of how I get my money back. That's what everybody that's looking for money, that's what everybody should do. How do I get my money back?
And I want to point out something that you just mentioned. If you don't sell the script, it can be 100% loss.
100%.
And that goes to that risk factor that I was referencing. If this trigger does not occur, and now there's a risk of losing 100%, that makes it way more difficult to entice investors, get those conversions. And frankly, to get that, sometimes you have to promise some too good to be true type returns that will also get you in the crosshairs of regulators. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So
lots to think about when you're putting
not an easy game. Together. Not an easy game. It works best with companies that are already going and that have revenues and are growing month over month. It works best for those and that have between $30,000 and $50,000 to start, because you've got to hire a lawyer and a community. Well, if you've got 30 to 50,000, you can at least determine whether there's a community that will accept what you have, because you can at least test to see if you have it viable. But most people that don't have any money, it's hard to come up with 50 grand, you know? So you have to be a going company that can afford that, or have a rich Uncle Charlie that'll give you the money to take a shot at your thing.
Well, we just have a couple of minutes left, so I definitely want to give you the floor if you have any final words or thoughts for everyone.
Well, it's a marvelous tool. It is definitely the future to raise capital. What is disappointing about crowdfunding in general is there are not more exits. And we even did a seminar with the OTC a year or so ago, where we talked about how you could go from a crowdfunding offering to the OTC and at least have some sort of exit. But that's the main issue with crowdfunding, is what's the exit? And if you can explain to people how they're going to get their money back, then that would be what I would recommend, that you should go forward with crowdfunding. If you're able to explain how people are going to get their money back, and you explain it well, easily understandable, in a good presentation and in your marketing materials, that's what it's all about.
Love it. Well, I'm going to share the bottom of this email, just because, hey, it's got your contact information. We'll throw this media shares and the contact, your email, Gene, right in chat. But anybody that reaches you, is email the best, phone the best?
Yeah, Gene at mediashares.com.
Perfect.
And I'm always good for a phone call too. If somebody send me an email, you just want to talk to me with some questions, I try to donate my time to people that are at an early stage. Maybe they're not quite ready to go yet, but I like to help people like you do, you know. And I'm always anxious to help people, and even if they don't have the money yet to hire us, we want to talk to help this whole industry if we can.
Well, thank you, Gene, for being here today. And thank you, everyone, for your questions and joining. Really appreciate you and try to bring as much value as possible. And along those lines, that's where we're bringing these a Hollywood director to share some of the strategies and how to apply that to marketing and best practices. So definitely the types of issues for you to think about. And if you don't already have the knowledge, haven't done it in the past, definitely reach out to the professionals like Gene Massey. So thank you all for joining today.
Thank you, Nick. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.